Self-harm is a distasteful disorder. It's very human. This is what Cipher says to Marie in the 3rd episode, after asking her why she has to cut herself every time in order to use her powers. It didn't seem like much back then, but now we know Cipher's truth, and he was just an ordinary human named Doug, forced to serve as Goldolkin's puppet all along. The statement about self-harm coming from Cipher's mouth seems way more meaningful. I'll talk about this in depth in just a bit, but the more important question is, why exactly was Goldolkin, through Cipher, planning to end his life once and for all? Well, the oversimplified and understated answer is despair. Pure and absolute despair. But there's still much more than meets the eye, and in this video, we're gonna discuss exactly that. But before I begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Those 2 small clicks will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos. Now let's begin.
All soups could lie inside his head.
So you think he could stop Cipher?
So episode 7 starts with Marie Moreau finally taking charge. Before I say anything else, I must admit to you that I was sincerely frustrated with how Marie behaved throughout the episode. I mean, I know that trusting Cate after what she did is going to be difficult, but the Bloodbender is failing to see that Cate has genuinely changed, and for good. She could just help Cate to help herself, and maybe she should just lay low and not try to be such a superhero all the time. I mean, by doing that, she did exactly as Sister Sage expected her to do, but I digress. So after hiding in Stan Edgar's bunker with her friends, she decides enough is enough and heads back to Goldolkin University to face Cipher. Marie wants to end their feud herself and make sure her friends stay safe, even if it means pushing them away. But Annabeth keeps seeing visions of Marie drenched in blood, which isn't exactly a reassuring sign, and no one's eager to sit this one out. Cipher, meanwhile, spends most of the episode unraveling. One minute he's ready to scrap his plan, the next he's inches from winning. After fleeing Polarity's house, he drags along the mysterious Burn Man, the same figure we've been catching glimpses of all season, and considers killing him to end everything. Here we see Cipher taking out his belt and beating the crap out of an already super old and sickly man. But then Cipher falls into despair after realizing that Polarity actually has a shield against his mind control powers. This leaves Goldolkin in acute despair, and he makes Doug, aka Cipher, pick up the small oxygen cylinder and nearly smash his head. I mean, Goldolkin's head. You see, as of this moment, Marie was nowhere to be found, and she was Goldolkin's ace. Without her, there was really no way Goldolkin's plans would have succeeded, and since she had gone into hiding, coupled with the fact that the metal-bending soup could actually beat his mind control, Goldolkin thought this was it. He had no reason to drag this further and become the subject to worse experiences. I mean, he'd already lived a lifetime in his vegetative state, while feeling all the pain in the world. And if by chance people found out who he really was, things could have gotten worse for him, and the only sane option before Goldolkin in that moment was killing himself. And he certainly would have made Doug go ahead with the plan and smash his head with that oxygen cylinder had he not found Marie again. So when he sees Marie back at his house, along with Cate and Polarity, Goldolkin, through Doug's body, laughs and giggles like a kid who just received his Christmas present early. Well, this is when we learn that Sister Sage is actually in a relationship with Goldolkin through Cipher, who's actually Doug. Yeah, I know, I don't even know if this kind of relationship has a name in any of the woke dictionaries or the regular dictionaries. Sage wasn't attracted to Doug, she was performing for Goldolkin, who was essentially present through him. The entire relationship was voyeuristic on a psychic level, and Sage, being who she is, likely knew exactly who she was entertaining. That alone adds another layer of discomfort to everything we've seen from her this season. Nevertheless, Sage had predicted that Marie would not be able to control herself and would definitely play hero and ultimately resurface. And resurface she did. Marie finally manages to track down Goldolkin, and against all odds, she heals him, completely restoring his body. And that's where things go south. And by south, I mean down under, maybe much deeper, 6,000 fathoms deep, because Marie just unleashed a genocidal maniac who wants to kill every soup that he doesn't feel worthy of being a soup. Goldolkin wants God to walk on Earth, and not people who can turn their feet into palms. The second Marie revives Goldolkin, Cipher's entire persona collapses. Gone is the smug, manipulative Dean. Instead, he's suddenly terrifying, pleading for his life, insisting he's Doug, an ordinary man who's been trapped in his own body. It becomes clear to everyone that Cipher was never in control. Goldolkin was. All this time, the man everyone thought was the puppet master was actually the puppet. The real Thomas Goldolkin had been pulling the strings, using his telepathic powers to live through Doug like a ghost in the machine. His whole plan had been to trick Marie into healing him, finally freeing himself from years of confinement. When you think back to the opening flashback of the series, the lab fire decades ago, Goldolkin burning to his apparent death, the old man's burnt body, it all lines up. Goldolkin gained psychic control abilities during the accident, maybe even a hint of immortality, but it left his body ruined beyond repair. Burned and barely alive, he survived by manipulating others, spending decades trapped in a hyperbaric chamber while using Doug as his eyes, mouth, and hands. And I believe he only survived because he took some of the Compound V that was present in the lab. Maybe he did it as a last-ditch effort to save himself, and it reminds me of the scene from Alien Romulus, when that pregnant girl takes some of the experimental black goo to save herself. I'm not sure if you've watched the movie, but anyway, following the reveal of Goldolkin, every bizarre interaction we've seen since suddenly clicks into place. Cipher's strange loyalty toward his so-called father, his quiet reverence for the burned man, even that unsettling caretaker dynamic between them. Well, it was all part of Goldolkin's control. Doug, the supposed mastermind, isn't a supe at all. He's just a regular guy whose mind and body have been hijacked for years. Every move, every word, every twisted experiment came straight from the real Goldolkin's mind. Doug's occasional glassy smile or nervous tics weren't quirks, they were the cracks showing in his possession. But this begs the important question of why was Goldolkin making Doug, or Cipher, beat his burnt and scarred body all along? What was he getting out of it? You see, as I was saying earlier in the third episode, when Marie says that she cuts herself to access her powers and refuses to call it self-harm, Goldolkin, through Cipher, asks her to agree to disagree. See, he pretty much enjoys self-harm and self-mutilation. I would go so far as to say that it's his natural response whenever things go sideways. When he's in a difficult situation, maybe it even turns him on, because that's what masochism is. Our boy loves the idea, and if you remember, throughout the second season, every time he's done something of this sort, it's only been in a tense or heated situation. I believe he would have found some kind of solace in ending his life had he gone ahead with that plan. Anyway, as for Goldolkin, his quote-unquote return is less triumphant and more tragic. The moment Marie heals him, he finally gets what he's wanted for decades: freedom from his own prison of flesh and steel. But the man who emerges isn't a visionary or a leader. He's a broken relic who spent years trapped inside someone else's skin. His power, his obsession, his entire existence has become a curse. And in an ironic twist, the one person trying to do good, Marie, ends up saving the monster who started it all. But Goldolkin doesn't have macrovision. All he has now is tunnel vision and a singular agenda. What would happen if he manages to achieve his goal of culling the less powerful supes? He would be lost and become a slightly more stable version of Soldier Boy, but Goldolkin would continue to remain a psychological mess. He's now started to appreciate the little things in life, going so far as to refer to the fresh air in his lungs as perfection. I mean, I'm all for appreciating all this, but I believe this newfound freedom will bring him into a straight conflict with others, including the bad guys, like Homelander. I mean, just wait till Homelander finds out that Goldolkin was the one behind what happened to him in the first place. Needless to say, the fallout of Goldolkin's reveal reframes the entire show's foundation. The school wasn't a symbol of empowerment, it was a monument to one man's attempt to cling to control long after his body had given up. And as for Marie, by the time the credits roll, it's hard not to feel for her. She went into this fight ready to protect her friends, only to find out she's been playing into the villain's hands from the start. Healing Goldolkin might have saved one life, but it unleashed a far bigger problem on the world. A telepathic tyrant reborn with full strength and no moral anchor left. The irony is that if Marie had stayed hidden in Stan Edgar's bunker, Goldolkin's nightmare would have died with him. I'm super excited about what's going to happen in the next episode, but rest assured, Goldolkin is not going to attempt to take his life ever again. But who defeats him? That's a whole separate question. That's all for this one, guys. See you around.